Good morning, everybody. Thank you for logging into the overview this morning and taking the time to look at what we believe is the most exciting opportunity in the country. And I feel like many times in your career, you come across a concept. I shouldn't say many times. I should say maybe a few times in your career, you come across a concept that, number one, sounds too good to be true, right? And then the second thing is if you take advantage of that opportunity, I don't mean to sound overly dramatic or cheesy, but it can be life-changing, certainly career-changing. And, if you logged on to our previous webinar, we talk about learning the skill, learning the concept of Forex trading. And, we really didn't get into too much depth about Pivotal Wealth or, of course, our partnership with Apiary Fund. We just talked about the concept of having that skill. Guys, there's probably never been a time in our country where the ability to generate money from home would be more important, right? Could you imagine that? Imagine, of course, hindsight's 2020, right? But if we knew what the last 30, 60, 90 days was going to be like, but we knew it 6 months ago, we could have prepared for that, right? You would have done something different to make your income more independent. When your income is independent on a job or somebody else's decisions or a worldwide pandemic or something crazy like that, all of a sudden your ability to put food on the table and a roof over your head changes, right? But if you had this skill where, look, no matter what, as long as you have internet access and a device, you can make money. How crucial would that be, right? Like I said, maybe never a better time in our country's history, certainly in our lifetime. But why don't people do it then, right? It's like, hey, I'd love to have that skill, but there's two reasons I don't do it. Well, number one, they don't understand it. They don't know how to do it. They've never had somebody teach them, take them by the hand, and show them the Forex market. Or maybe they have tried it and they weren't successful. Maybe they were kind of self-taught or they bought a little program. Or maybe they knew somebody else that had done it and lost their shorts, right? I think we've all heard those horror stories. And then the other reason people don't want to do it is they don't want to risk their money. They either don't have money to risk or the money they do have, they don't want to risk. And, somebody else brought up a good point to me yesterday. They said, or maybe they just don't want to risk enough of it to make it worth it, because they'll say, well, hey, I'll start with a couple $100. Well, guys, it would take so long by starting with such a small amount to generate any significant income to really make it worth it, right? And so one of the reasons Pivotal Wealth is exploding across the country is because we've partnered with the Apiary Fund. And what they've allowed us to do is basically remove both of these obstacles of why people don't trade. Again, does it sound too good to be true? We're going to teach you to trade and then give you money to trade. We don't want you to risk your own money. We get, as I'm sure you guys do, and I know we have people from all over the country on the call today. I'm sure you guys are just like me, right? We get calls every week, maybe many times a week, from people telling you different opportunities or different trading classes, trading opportunities. I just had somebody reach out to me a few days ago, and they're involved in this company that every day sends them signals, okay? And it says, okay, right now, make this trade. And the person is a great trader and is sending out these signals, and everybody does the same trade. Okay, great. It might work for a while, but what if the person doesn't send you the signal? Or again, it's so temporary and you're not learning anything. You actually did not develop a skill. You're not learning how to trade. But even that, being put that aside, I said, okay, gosh, that's pretty cool. So how much money did they give me to start? And my friend looked at me like, well, what do you mean? How much did they give you to start? I said, well, obviously if they're confident in the system and it's working, they don't expect me to use my own money, right? They're going to give me money to trade. And of course, the person looked at me like, we have a new puppy, and every time he hears a new sound, he turns his head, he kind of tilts his head and looks like, what is that? That's how my friend looked at me like, well, what do you mean? We're going to give you money to start. And I said, let me tell you about another program We're actually going to teach you how to trade, where you're not dependent on somebody else sending you information. And we're so confident in the training that we're going to give you money to trade, and we split the profits. And he said, man, that sounds too good to be true. And I said, geez, if I had $1 for every time I heard that. Well, guys, I know you didn't log on here to hear me. And I just wanted to introduce Shawn Lucas and the Apiary Fund. And I always preface my introducing Shawn with the fact that it's very hard to introduce Shawn, because you really, what do you say about a guy like this, right? You're introducing one of the best traders in the world, but Shawn's kind of a unicorn, right? Because typically, whether it's in business or in sports, the best performers are not usually the best teachers, right? The old saying of those who can't do, teach, right? I always wondered when I had my business professors in college that had all this knowledge, I'm like, well, why aren't they running a business, right? Or sometimes your best athletes do not make the best coaches. And so Shawn's kind of a unicorn. Not only is he one of the best traders and money managers in the world, he is without a doubt one of the best trainers. And he has just a knack for taking people by the hand and showing them how to be successful in the market. And so just a little bit about his background. He started on Wall Street over 20 years ago with Schwab and facilitating trades for high net worth clients. These clients came back to Shawn and said, hey, listen, man, we just want you to manage our money. And so he managed a hedge fund for many years, and that's kind of where he made a name for himself worldwide. So companies fly him all over the world to come in and train their professional traders. And he's a keynote speaker, author of many books and publications. He found a passion, though, guys. Shawn, again, companies like Schwab and Fidelity and Reuters would have Shawn come in and reverse engineer their traders' trades and find out where they're making mistakes, and have Shawn develop their platforms. And but about 10 years ago, Shawn developed a passion for not just developing Wall Street traders, but for taking the person who wants to trade as a part-time, aside from their job, or the stay-at-home parent, or the college student, or the retiree, and being able to teach them a skill to generate money. And so he developed this platform that literally takes you by the hand, kindergarten all the way up through becoming an expert trader. And so again, he took care of that first obstacle of why people don't trade, right? He said, hey, listen, I understand you don't know how to do it. I'm going to teach you in a way that everybody can grasp it. And it's just the most incredible system. That's what he's going to show you. But then what was the other obstacle? Okay, now I know how to trade, but I don't want to risk my money, or I don't have enough money to put into the market to make it worth it. So Shawn put his money where his mouth is, and he said, listen, I'm going to put $8 million of my own money into a fund, and I'm going to allow people to trade that have gone through my training, and they split the profits. So guys, that was about 10 years ago. Last month, billions of dollars were traded through that fund with several thousand traders worldwide. So the person who invited you on this call, I want you to reach out to him and thank him, because you're at the right place at the right time. Shawn, he has a mission right now to get as many people trading through the fund and learning this skill as possible. So guys, I'm going to get myself out of the way and turn the time over to Shawn. Shawn, are you there?
I'm here, Jason. Thank you for that introduction. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, great to be with you today, folks. It took me a second to get back over here because I was trading. So if you give me Jason is always saying, hey, make sure you show the platform, and I'm always forget. So let's just jump over real quick. So to remind myself to show the platform, I started trading when Jason started talking. And let me just show you real quick here. So for those of you who are familiar with with trading and everything like that, You'll recognize, a charting platform like this. But so I started, just to give you an idea of the kind of money that you can make. When Jason started talking, I was at zero, and right now I made about 250 pips, or $250 while Jason was talking and doing the introduction. That's about a 0.3% return in that 10-15 minutes while Jason was talking. I'll show you right here. What I teach traders to do is a lot of consistency style trading. So where we focus in on just the consistency. What you want to do when you're trading is you don't want to have a lot of variables. You don't want to have a lot of I'm up today, I'm down tomorrow, I'm up today, the next day, I'm down the following day, because what you're doing when you're trading like that is you're just really spinning your wheels. And so what I've just done is I've ordered everything, sequentially. This is the 5,955th trade, 5,954th trade. And you can see the consistency that we're striving for in the market. Now, what you'll learn is that I don't go for big home runs. And I think for those of you who are familiar with the sports industry and stuff like that, you'll know, the folly in just trying to get up and hit a home run every time. There's another element to that, and that's a pitcher that's going to be playing with you, right? And so you have to, if you're going to be a good home run hitter, you have to learn how to hit those base hits consistently over and over and over. Otherwise, you're just going to get chopped up by a good pitcher who knows how to play you. And so if you look at the base hit model that I trade, you got $2 here, $1.90 there, $1.80 there, $1.50, $1.70, $1.70, $1.70, $1.70, and you can see the consistency in how we trade and how I trade. This platform, we can just kind of scroll down. What you want to do also in that process is you want to learn how to mitigate. When you're learning how to trade, it's so important that you learn how to minimize your loss side. And so you can see here that on these losses, on the gains, I'm picking up $1.50, anywhere between $1.50 and $2. And then on these loss trades, I'm minus 80 cents, minus 40 cents, minus $1.20, minus 50 cents, minus $1. But then you're followed up right off, with those gains. This platform is built from the ground up. And so a lot of your trading software is built, is built to facilitate the brokerage industry, right? So software will be built, and companies like Charles Schwab, who I used to work for, or Fidelity or Ameritrade or something like that, they'll buy up these software platforms, but they're primarily built for companies like that. Companies that will basically take your money, right? You open up an account with them, you transfer your money over to them, and then they own the entire facility from that point forward, right? You're using their software, you're using their trade execution platforms, you're using their risk management systems and stuff like that. Well, obviously, Apiary Fund is built slightly different than a brokerage, because what we're interested in doing is helping you get from the point where you don't know anything about trading, you don't know anything really about making money in the market, and we're trying to help you down a path to where, 3, 6, 9 months later, you can consistently hit returns like this, where you can consistently pull money out of the market like this, right? That's our job, that's our purpose, that's our goal in trying to help you become a consistently profitable trader. And so, you know, our motivation and our purpose is very different than a broker who's, you know, they just want you to play the game, and they don't really care whether you win or lose, right? It makes no difference to them, because if you win, they make money. If you lose, they make money. They take their money whether you win or lose. Well, Apiary Fund's a little different in that, you know, we make our money only when you make your money. Does that make sense? Because we're training you, but we're not training you to bring your money into the fund. We're training you to use our money. And so right there, that very idea required us to create a software platform that's very different than all of the other software platforms out there. And so that's what we've done, is we built this platform. And, you know, what you're seeing is very similar to what you'll see in other places, but behind the scenes, what you're going to see is that we get trades to the market exceptionally fast. So Apiary Fund is an institution, which means that, you know, we're not a retail broker like a Schwab or a Fidelity. We're an institution. So if you think about it in terms of, you know, wholesaling and supermarkets, right? The stuff, you've got producers on one side who are producing a can of, you know, canned beans. You got producers that are canning up these beans in tin cans, and then they're sending them out to a distributor, and then they're sending the distributors sending them out to wholesalers. Wholesalers are then putting them into retailers, and then the retailers marks it up and puts it on the shelf. And each step along the way, there's a markup, right? And so if you think about it, Apiary Fund is like the distributor in that scenario, where the bank itself is like the producer, right? The bank has got the bank is where we are going to transact. We're going to exchange money at a bank, right? Very common idea right there. Money is exchanged at a bank. But what we do is we set up the account directly with the bank. So we eliminate all these little middlemen before, you know, so that you're not paying the higher prices. You're not paying all of the markups, right? So there again is reason number 2 that we had to build our own software platform, because what we're doing is we're bringing you closer to the producer, right? Everyone wants a better price. And so we don't even have the capability of really marking up our costs, because there's no costs to mark up, right? You're trading our money, so there's no reason to mark up the cost on you, right? So again, we built these are some of the reasons why we built this platform the way it is. Now, I said a second ago, trade executions are super fast, because what we do is, like right here, I'm trading, like, let's just come over here and let's just place a trade. When I push one of these buttons, that trade's going to go out. It's going to go from my location here all the way to one of the bank's location. We got 3 different banks that we work with. One in New Zealand, one in Singapore, one in London. And so this trade is going to go from Utah all the way to either Singapore, London, or New Zealand. And that trade is then going to get processed and then sent back to us, right? So if I come in here and place a trade, like right here, boom, that trade's in the market, right? And it's being so now we can wait and watch and see if we can make a little bit of money on this trade. I'll just close it out right now. Boom, missed the better pricing, but now you can see Where's that trade? So right here, that's that trade that we just placed. Right there, made about 80 cents on that trade, right? So you can see how fast that trade executes. We are by far one of the fastest trade execution. Now we would have really made some money there. We're one of the fastest trading execution platforms that you'll find because we don't have all these middlemen clogging up the time it takes for you to get your trade into the market. So really, really important. I feel bad in a sense because a lot of new traders, like Jason was saying, you know, they scrape up $200 to go open up a brokerage account. Well, you know, then then they put that money in there, and then that trade goes from their house to the brokers, then from the brokers to what they call a prime network, and then from that prime, or a prime of primes, and then to a prime, and then to a bank. So you see there's a path, what they call a path, that on the ECN network, the communications network, it has all of those hops. You know, it goes from one point to another point to another point to another point to another point, and then finally gets to a place where it can actually close and execute the trade. Well, you know, for most new traders, that might not mean, you know, you might see that and it may that trade may execute in like a half a second, or maybe 3/4 of a second, maybe even more, a second or more. And you might think that that's a, you know, you might not think anything of that. That might not be a bad thing for you. But when you're trading at a professional level like this, and you can, you know, trades are executing in, you know, 100 milliseconds or less, that is a huge difference, right? That's a huge advantage, and something that, you know, the average retail trader never has the advantage of. They just never get to it, to that point. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to show you that platform real quick, just give you a little taste of it. I mean, it doesn't look all that great on the outside. I mean, it looks fine on the outside, don't get me wrong. But what's powerful about this system is, you know, what's underneath the engine, or underneath the body of this, and that's that engine that's driving it. And it's pretty spectacular if you kind of understand how things work in this industry. And if you don't, you know, you can rest confidently that you're trading on professional level software here that's engineered to get these trades out and executed as quick as we can. We could probably spend an entire day on all of the different benefits of this platform and why we do certain things the way we do, but that's not for this meeting. That's for one of the classes. Let me stop sharing that, and then let's jump over here to the our website, because I want to show you a couple things in the website as well. Where are we? Okay. Let me try and get this. Right here. There we go. All right. So when you first log into Apiary Fund, our primary task is to get you to the point where you can trade successfully. Jason told you a little bit about the signal idea. And, you know, that's appealing to a lot of people because, you know, hey, I've got this smart trader who's going to share his signals with you, with me, right? And so I don't have to learn how to trade successfully because this guy's going to share all that he knows and give me a signal. You know, and it has a really nice pitch to it. It sounds really good because, you know, you don't have to do any work, and you don't have to know what you're doing. But just to be completely blunt with you, it puts you in a very vulnerable spot, right? Because think of it like this: if the guy providing the signals has any I mean, what he's going to go in and buy whatever he's going to send the signal out with, right? Think about it like this: he's going to go in and buy it, right? Then he's going to send a signal out for every one of you to go and buy it. And so you may be fortunate enough to get that signal right then, right when he sends it out. But you're already behind him. Does that make sense? You're already further down the line. So by the time you get it and then you execute on it, you're minutes away from that trade setup. And so it's not really a great, mechanically, it's not really a great setup that way. Does that make sense? Unless you enjoy being, the last guy in line to get a trade executed. But what if you don't even get the signal until, 10, 15 minutes later? Now it's even worse, right? So, on the outside and on the surface, I understand the allure and that sounds really like a good setup, right? But in practice, what you're going to discover is that you're always late, you're always the last guy, and you're usually the person holding the bag. By the time all of the energy and all of the excitement of the signal wears off, then people are selling. Well, oftentimes you're the guy that's buying when they're selling, and then you end up taking a loss. So signal services, while being good on one hand, they're really they can be a challenge on another hand. And so what does Apiary Fund do that's different? Well, I'd much rather you get to the point where you know when to buy, right? You're the guy making the calls like that. You're saying, oh, this is a great opportunity. Let me do it here because I know I've got a 60, 70% chance of making money on this trade. That's where we're trying to get our folks, right? It's a training process. And to be honest with you, there's a little bit of work involved in in getting to that point. But at the end of the day, think about it like this. Let's say that you can get to a point where you can trade successfully, consistently and successfully, more winning trades than losing trades. And let's say that it takes you a year to get to that point. Well, that leaves you with the rest of your life being in a position where you can make money no matter what day it is, no matter what is happening around you. Like Jason said, whether we're quarantined because of this craziness with this virus, or because the company that you work for decided that they wanted to close its operations, or whatever it is, you're left there with a talent and a skill that you can use for the rest of your life. And you know what? That's a much better place to be than depending on someone else providing you with the signal here and then, right? I know that it's going to take work to get there, but it's work that is highly rewarded in the long term. And, I know our society and I know our world doesn't look long term anymore, but if you look at the most successful people on this planet, if you look at the most successful people in history, they all had a long-term look at their future and their opportunities, right? Warren Buffett, he'll be the first to tell you that, it took him years and years and years to get to the point where he was known as the Oracle of Omaha, right? It took him years, and a lot of people not recognizing the talent and the skill that he had in the process, and himself learning the ropes, But even Buffett had great mentors and great teachers along the way, and that's what we're striving to do here, is give you that mentorship, that skill, that teaching, the mentorship, all of the things that you need in order to become a successful trader. So when you first log into the platform, one of the first things you see here is this beeline to funding. And this is the process that we take traders through. Let me tell you just real quickly, and I don't think I've shared this with even Jason or Matt, but when we first started Apiary Fund, all we had was a calendar like this. So when you logged in, all there was a calendar, and it wasn't half as full as this, but there was maybe 2 or 3 classes every day that you could log into and learn, right? And then what we did is we just let people kind of, practice on their own. They kind of go through the learning on their own, but we teach them. And it was just a teaching process. And we were relatively successful in that approach because, we were talking to our traders, once or twice a day, and that was good. And we were giving them good information and they were learning, but we weren't quite seeing the level of consistency and the success that we would have hoped to have seen as we're developing traders, right? We would have hoped to see faster, people get to their success goals faster. And we just weren't seeing that. So we came up with this idea called the beeline to funding. And so, and what this did is it gave our traders a step-by-step process. So we literally locked ourselves in a conference room for, several weeks. Every Friday we would be sitting down in the conference room every Friday afternoon, and we were like, okay, what's the next step? What needs to happen now? And for weeks on end, we'd be going through this and identifying what is the next step that a person needs to take, and why is it so important, and not just teaching, not just telling you what is a pip, but actually having you do exercises and experience so that you could experience what a pip is, right? And so those are the discussions that we had, and that led us to this idea of beeline, which is more of a step-by-step process that we take you through to get to the point where you're a consistently funded or consistently profitable trader and funded using and trading our money. So in the beeline, you'll discover that a lot of it's education. So in this requirement, you're gonna have to watch the strategy behind stops video, right? It's a little video that we put together, a class that we recorded, and it's gonna teach you about, there's a strategy that you use to help protect your investments, right? But that's not all. If you look down, you're going to have to use a stop on 50 different trades in a row. So now you've learned a concept, and now you're going out and practicing that concept in real market conditions. Does that make sense? So when you look around the industry and you're like, oh, I want to learn how to trade, immediately you think, oh, I got to find a good book, right? Or I got to go watch a good video on YouTube on how to trade, and that's how I'm going to learn. But that's just one little tiny piece of the process. What you have to do is you have to learn, right, the concept, watch a video, but then you also have to do the concept. You actually have to get in there and use and start to apply that, right? Well, our software platform recognizes that you put a stop on your trade, right? And so it reports back to us and says, hey, good job, Kathy. Kathy has done a good job. She's used a stop on her trades, and now we can pass her off on that concept. Does that make sense? So really, we've taken education one huge step beyond just learning, because we're actually having you practice it. And then, practicing is great, but you want to be practicing consistently. And so as you work through the beeline, we're constantly going to be making sure that you don't have any losses, greater than 2%. This is a key learning point, in your development, because you'll discover real quick that if you create a loss, if you have a loss, well, then you have to climb out of the hole that you dig yourself into. And it's a lot easier to pull out of a 2% loss than it is out of a 10% loss. And so, what we do is we also then train you to perform and execute successfully in the market. And I think that's another step further in the development process, because not only are you going to learn the concept, you're going to be put into scenarios and asked to do different things that will help you experience that concept in the market. And then we're going to take a step further and make sure that you're performing, note that word, that you're performing so well that we can trust you with our money. And, that's the process that we go through, folks. There are so much, I feel bad because, you don't have a lot of, you don't have a lot of time to go into all of the details and everything like this. There's so much to the program. There's so much that we do, that I wish I could just sit there and explain why each one of these things is super important to your development process. How are you going to know how to do that on your own? Right? I mean, you just don't know. That's the hard thing. That's why I don't trust any mechanics, right? I shouldn't say that. I do trust some, but I just don't know how an engine works. I don't know how a car works well enough to know whether I'm doing the right thing. Well, you're not going to know if you do this path on your own. You're not going to know if you're going to have someone give you a signal. What you need, folks, is you need to go through this process, and it's an education process. It's a development process. But then at the end of the day, and there is something exceptionally powerful with that. Well, I've already kept you longer than I intended today, so I appreciate your time. And Jason, thank you so much for this opportunity. I love chatting with the folks here at Pivotal Wealth. You guys are awesome. Some of my favorite traders are coming from this group here. So I'm super grateful for this opportunity, Jason.
Well, Shawn, man, we're the grateful ones, really. We just appreciate you giving us the opportunity to take advantage of your resources and your knowledge and what all you've done. Guys, every time I listen to Shawn go through this, what's cool about it, I would recommend every Friday morning you guys log in. It's the same link, because he goes through something different every time. And, when you listen to Shawn, again, as many times as we have, it just keeps your excitement level, your confidence in this just keeps growing and growing. And, what was cool is in the beginning, and I'm looking down through my notes that I take every time, is he talked about the broker fees. He hadn't talked about that before, guys. He said when you're with maybe a TD Ameritrade or anything like that, he said it doesn't really matter to them if you make money or lose money, right? Because they make money no matter what. They make money every time you place a trade. And he said, listen, we have skin in the game. He said, we want to teach you to manage money because you are actually managing our money, which is so cool. They don't make money off of you making trades. They make money off of you being profitable. So, guys, one thing I just realized we didn't point out, and I usually do it, and then Shawn talks about it, and neither one of us did, is what does the word apiary mean, right? I had to ask, after I heard this concept, I met Shawn and everything. I was so excited about what we're doing as a business and a partnership here. And I finally said, dude, where did the name come from? I've never heard that word. An apiary is a beehive. And guys, when you look at bees and the laws of nature, the bees is the perfect community, right? Everybody helping each other. And it's the concept that the hive supports the bees and the bees support the hive, and everybody works together. And sometimes when Shawn dives in, he goes into the forums, right, where all the traders are there helping each other along, because everybody's one goal is to grow the fund, right, to be successful and learn this skill. Whereas in other circumstances and other trading, opportunities, you don't have that. People, it's almost the crabs in the bucket theory, right? We've all heard that. Put one crab in a bucket, and what will they do? They'll crawl out. You put two crabs in a bucket, one tries to crawl out, the other one grabs and pulls them right back in, and they'll stay in there all day. And so, with this theory, one crab would lean up and let the other one crawl over him to get out, so that they both get out. And it's again, helping each other and growing this thing together. So guys, I'm getting a ton of private messages on here saying, okay, we love what we see. We love Shawn. How do we get started? What's our path to trading in a funded account? There are 3 packages that Apiary Fund and Pivotal Wealth have put together that end in a funded account for you. There's the trader floor. And guys, what's great about this is all different levels, depending on what type of commitment you want to make and where you want to end up. The trader floor, the tuition for the package is $19.97. Okay. And then you go through the Beeline. Again, everything is bees, right? It's just a cool culture and a cool analogy that they've used. But you get that beeline to funding where you go through all the different hives, right? You go through copper and bronze and silver and gold. And what was cool is as Shawn showed, they teach you a technique, and then you get to log on to Alveo, which is that trading platform that he showed you. And you practice the technique that you just learned with simulated funds. Now, Shawn was obviously trading real money, but it's on the exact same platform that you learned on. So you learn with simulated funds to execute all the techniques you just learned in the Beeline, and then you practice it on Alveo. And then when you actually get funded, you trade real money, right? He showed you that calendar of live classes, and he usually makes a joke. He says, this reminds me of the old TV guide, right? There's so many things on there. One thing he didn't mention is if you miss a class or there was one you watched and you weren't able to log on, you can just click on it and it's recorded and you can watch them anytime. It includes a Trader Summit ticket. Guys, I think that's like a $900 value in itself. It's a 3-day trip to Utah to trade with Shawn and his team, and it's an intensive 3-day course. But when you complete the Beeline, by the way, you get 2 live coaching sessions. Now, these are done via webinar. They're one-on-one coaching sessions. Again, people buy these. They're a few hundred, I think $300 per coaching session. And you get to use them anytime while you're going through the Beeline or after you're funded. But as soon as you complete the training and you qualify for funding, you start with $2,000 in your account, day one, to trade. And you get to keep 40% of the profit. So every month, at the end of the month, Shawn and his team go through and they sweep the account, they figure out what your profits were, and they send you a check for 40%. They go through quarterly reviews with you. So they'll look at your results over a quarter, over a 3-month time frame, and if you're profitable, they increase the amount of money in your account. How cool is that? So you'll start with $2,000, but you can go all the way up to $20,000 of Apiary Fund money in your account to trade. So guys, that's the first package. The second package is the Desk Trader, a little more of a commitment. It's $49.97. You're paying for that education, guys. You get all the same benefits as the trader floor. However, you get 6 one-on-one coaching sessions. Again, you can use them anytime during your training, after you're funded. They're incredible. We get such positive feedback on Shawn and his coaches. But when you go through the Beeline and qualify for funding, you start with $5,000 in your account. So guys, one way to look at this is you're paying $5,000 for the education, right? And then when you start, you get to start with $5,000 in your account. So you can go all the way up to $50,000 in your account through those quarterly reviews. And every month, it's a 50-50 split. So you get to keep half the money each month. He's also included a trading as a business course in here. he mentioned Warren Buffett, right? One of the, most famous traders, probably one of the best money managers and traders in the world. He's kind of famous for saying the quote, "I pay less taxes than my secretary," right? Now, he obviously didn't mean he actually paid less in money, in dollars, but he meant a lower tax rate, because there's so many benefits of trading as a business. And so Shawn goes through and teaches you all the benefits of being a professional trader as a business. They also include a trading rally ticket. It's real similar to the Summit, but they do them all over the country. He's even done a few international. And then, guys, there's the top package. This is actually the package my wife and I took advantage of when our youngest was starting school, and we were trying to figure out what my wife was going to do now that our boys were getting bigger and in school all day, but with school and sports and, man, our crazy lifestyle, it would have been tough for her to have a job that she had to commit certain hours to or a certain schedule. And so this is what we did. The market maker package, the tuition is $99.97. When you complete the Beeline and qualify for funding, you start with $10,000 in your account. Day one, you get to start trading a $10,000 account, and you get to keep 70% of the profit. You can go all the way up to $250,000 in your account. And guys, you listen to Shawn speak, and he's obviously passionate about what he does, but he's very soft-spoken. He's very generous. He's so friendly and nice that you almost sometimes forget what an incredible businessman he is. Make no mistake, his job is to grow the fund. He doesn't grow a fund from $8 million to doing billions of dollars by not putting as much money as he can in his profitable traders' accounts. We had a conference call with a gentleman yesterday, and he said, "Shawn, how much are your top traders trading?" And Shawn paused a minute, and he said, "Well, my top traders have $250,000 of my money in their account, and they're trading it every month." And so, when that really clicks in your head, guys, that you're not risking $1 of your money and you have the opportunity to make this kind of money, it's a pretty incredible concept. You get 12 one-on-one coaching sessions. And then he includes a Beeline boot camp ticket. Guys, these Beeline boot camps, again, sometimes when you're talking about a concept like Apiary and everything, you almost have to try and make it sound worse than it is, because at some point it sounds too good to be true. It's hard to sell because you have to almost make it sound worse. Everyone I talk to that's gone to one of these boot camps literally says it's life-changing. I talked to a gentleman 3 or 4 days ago that's been with Apiary since 2017, and his wife was just kind of on board with it and kind of was letting him do his own thing, but he came to a boot camp and he brought her, and she got to meet Shawn, and she literally says Shawn was sent here directly from heaven to teach everybody this concept. Like she's so on board, it's crazy. But guys, what a boot camp is it's a week-long trip to Utah. They sell these separately, by the way. They're $5,000. People pay $5,000. They're sold out every time they do it. They have 30 to 40 people in a group, and they get to spend, that includes room and board. They come to Utah for a week, and they trade with Shawn and Nate and the other trainers here. They do cool things like midnight trading session when the London market opens. They do every trader gets a separate funded account to trade, so they actually make money while they're here as well. That is included in the market maker package. So guys, those are the 3 packages that end in a funded account. Now, get with the person who invited you on the call. Tell them which level you want to start at. Sometimes there's a couple types of people on this call. Some say, okay, man, I know exactly where I want to go and where I'm going to get the resources. But sometimes people say, gosh, I love this, but I can't do one of those packages right now. And maybe you're not ready to make that kind of commitment. We do have some smaller packages that do not end in a funded trading account. There's the Beeline Fast Pass. that includes the two lower hives, right? Copper and bronze. It includes a limited simulation account. So as soon as you learn those techniques, you can log on and trade simulated funds. You get to watch Shawn trade live each week. And, you know, that's such a huge thing we undersell, because watching Shawn trade every week for an hour, again, you learn so much just by watching what he does. And then you get a calendar of classes similar to what he showed. And then when the day comes that you do want to purchase one of the other packages, you get to start at silver. So you'd already checked off bronze and copper. Then there's, by the way, the cost for that is $7.97. And then there's a Trader on the Street membership, guys. It's $87 a month. It's real similar to the Beeline to Fast Pass, except for it doesn't include copper and bronze. So you don't get those lower education packages. But guys, what will happen is somebody, especially that knows about trading, has some experience, they really fly through copper and bronze. A lot of that is just lower level learning technology, learning the terminologies and how trading works. And then really when you get into silver is where they talk more technique. Okay. So guys, take out your cell phone. You can take a quick snapshot of this screen. These are the 5 packages that are all kind of lined up together. As you see the suggested retail price, this is the actual cost for these education packages, but through Pivotal Wealth and our partnership with Apiary, you get about a 20% discount. There is the data fee, so you'll see that. The market maker package gets 3 months before the data fees kick in. The desk trader gets 2 months before they kick in, and then the floor trader gets 1 month before it kicks in. You'll notice that fly-in boot camp that's included in the market maker package. That, like I said, those are normally $5,000. So anyway, guys, we'll kind of end with this. I know we've kept you a little longer today than we usually do. But some people say, hey, I don't necessarily have the resources right now to get started, but I want to get started, right? And so there is some financing options. We've partnered with a company that extends lines of credit and credit cards anywhere from $15,000 up to $100,000. It's 0% interest for 12 to 18 months, depending on your credit score. I've seen people get it for 12 months, and I've seen people actually get it for 24. So it's a good company to go through. They do a soft pull of your credit, pretty much right away within 1 day if you're approved or not. But they do charge a fee to get that financing set up for you. Whatever amount you take out or you qualify for, they charge you 10% upfront. Okay, and that caps at $34.95. So if you got $50,000, they don't charge you $5,000. It would cap at $34.95, and your line of credit just starts with that balance. Okay, and then it's 0% interest for 12 to 24 months. So if you like that option and you think you might want to go that route, again, take out your cell phone and take a quick snapshot of this. The gentleman that we work with, his name is Jeff Peterson. He's actually going through the Apiary Fund Beeline himself, so he knows exactly what you're doing. If you would just text Jeff, he just gets inundated with calls with people excited to get rolling. So if you decide you want to use this financing as an option, you can text Jeff, go online, follow these instructions, and get started. But folks, if you have your own resources or a different way to get started, then don't wait, guys. I'll leave you with this. I've kind of been in financial services and in sales for the majority of my career, right? Which is about 25 years. And I've never seen a concept or a product like Apiary Fund. And I've been in the retirement planning world, life insurance world, been in the mortgage industry. And to meet Shawn and his team that truly has a heart of a servant, like they really genuinely want you to succeed. Guys, Shawn could be done. Hopefully you guys all understand that. Shawn doesn't need to do it, right? Shawn, not only could he be done for the rest of his life, he could probably provide for the next couple generations of his family. And he doesn't need to do that. Hopefully you guys grasp that concept. He truly has it's a true intent, guys. He wants people to learn this skill and become financially independent. And he's putting his money up to allow you to do that. So everybody, thanks again for your time today. We really appreciate you logging in. Get with the person who invited you on this call. Tell them what level you want to get started at or get your questions answered. And we look forward to working with you. So everybody have a great weekend. And thanks again for your time. Bye-bye.